Hi there, I'm Dr. April Willis, and I'm so excited to spend part of my afternoon with you today on behalf of the National Nonprofit Collaborative. I'm so excited that we are going to be talking about all things AI. I know we've been hearing a lot about AI or artificial intelligence, and sometimes it might feel like we are being presented with more information than we know what to do with, or we're hearing the terms be used, but maybe we're not necessarily familiar with what it actually means or how it can actually be applied to the work that we're doing as nonprofit leaders. So my goal today is to help establish some baseline or foundational knowledge around artificial intelligence. Then I want to take it to the next level and tell you what this means in the nonprofit world. And then finally, I'm going to give you 12 tools that you might want to start exploring if you haven't already on how you can incorporate AI in your nonprofit organization. So my goal is for you to also be able to walk around with information that you can immediately apply after this webinar. So I want you to watch it, learn from it, and apply it. My goal today is not to just be thought leadership. I don't want this to be just about theory. I want it to be about application. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. So thank you again for joining me with the National Nonprofit Collaborative's webinar, exclusive webinar, by the way. This is only for people who have a membership to the National Nonprofit Collaborative. So thank you for being a part of that community. And we are excited to talk about AI and its impact on nonprofits. And we're going to explore the transformative potential of AI in the nonprofit sector. Now, before we do, I think it's important that we define artificial intelligence. We oftentimes are going to hear people throw around the term AI or artificial intelligence, and maybe they're not always using it in the way that it was intended to be used. I hear people use it interchangeably with just some smart workflows or processes, systems. People have identified ways to automate a lot of work that can happen in operations, especially. But when you think about those behind the scenes moments, just because something can be automated doesn't necessarily mean it is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, if we very bluntly put it, is when we train a computer to do the work of a human based on learning. And so it's not just if this, then this, because that's more of a formula. If we can have it understand multiple iterations, or we can have it interpret meaning, if we can have it take it a step further, like how humans are taught to use critical thinking skills, when we can teach computers to do that, that is when we're talking about artificial intelligence. So simply having an if this then statement does not mean that that's artificial intelligence. That's how computers have always operated. This is taking it to the next level. The biggest difference is still between a human and artificial intelligence is an artificial intelligent computer or device or software technology, whatever it is. It does not have consciousness. It does not have a conscience. It does not have the ability to discern morals or values. What we are teaching it to do is to oftentimes look at a large bank of information, a resource library, or multiple sources of information, and say, if you hear something like this, look for the intent. So one of the best examples I can give is you might be able to type in, for example, what are the hours of operation? And a machine could spit back, when asked for hours of operation, give this response. However, if you were to ask it, are you open on Tuesday? Artificial intelligence would be able to understand and decipher the intent of that question and be able to figure out to reference the hours of operation to give you a response. However, if we're using if this, then that, it may not have been coded to respond to, are you open on Tuesday? It's only coded to respond to, what are your hours of operation? And in that case, it wouldn't be artificial intelligence. It's just a computer doing its job. So artificial intelligence means I can decipher your intent based on the commands you're giving me. That, quite simply put, is how we can determine if something we're talking about is artificial intelligence or not. Is it something that can understand what you're saying and turn it into something new, or give you a response that wasn't necessarily coded in that exact language. Now, that's just one example when we're talking about linguistics and wording. There are also artificial intelligence components around imagery, where you can use your words to describe an image and have something brand new that has never populated this earth before come out as a result of that. And that is artificially intelligently created as a new image that came out of your imagination by you putting in words, show me 2 female golfers and 1 male golfer, one of color, one with blonde hair, and they're standing in front of the Rocky Mountains, and there happens to be a small animal walking by, the sun is starting to set, and they're each holding a drink in their hand. You could give that level of description, and it's going to give you a new image that never before existed until you gave it that description. So that would be an example of a computer listening to what it is you have to say and then turning it into something brand new. So when we talk about defining artificial intelligence, it is the simulation of human intelligence processes by machines, especially computer systems. These processes can include learning, reasoning, and self-correction. So some key components of AI, there are 3 key components. We've got machine learning, natural language processing, also known as NLP, and computer vision. So machine learning is this part of AI that allows us to use algorithms and statistical models and create systems to improve performance on tasks through experiences. So this is when you see lots of systems working together to come up with something incredible. They can build something new for you. They can oftentimes, we're thinking like chat bots, for example, which also lean into the natural language processing of the next one, where natural language processing is the field of AI that focuses on the interaction between computers and humans through language. These 2 components can work together when you create a chat bot. So if you ever logged into a website and at the bottom, a little pop-up will come up that says, "Hi, what can I help you with today? Do you have questions about the following?" And it will oftentimes give you prompts, and you can select one of those prompts, or you can just type your own question in. Now, if you type your own question and you continue to get, I do not understand that question. I'm sorry, I cannot help you. I will transfer you to a live agent. Whenever you get those, that means it hasn't been created to be a very sophisticated model. It goes back to only operating in algorithms. However, the natural language processing version can take it to the next level. They can oftentimes have that wonderful interaction where you ask it questions, it gives you responses. You're going to hear a little bit today about ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is a great example of that. If you've ever used it, or if you want to use it, you would just simply open up a ChatGPT, a new box. You could type in whatever question you want, anything you could think of in the entire world. You could get theoretical, you could get philosophical, you could ask it science questions, history questions, whatever you want to ask it. And it will give you something. And if you say, "But I thought it worked like this," they would sometimes come back and say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I see where there's a misunderstanding. Da 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 da." And you say, "Well, that still doesn't make sense." And it says, "Oh, I see. You might be thinking of this, but I was talking about this." It actually interacts with you as a human would. It's pretty incredible. There are other natural language processing opportunities with AI that look like things you might be a little bit more familiar with. If you've ever used Grammarly, if you tried to type an email, or you're constructing an essay online and you have Grammarly reading along with you and it underlines things, and it might say, it can tell you what your tone is. Your tone is coming across a little bit stern. Your tone is coming across playful. It will interpret again what you are saying and let you know if it's coming across the correct way or not. So that's pretty interesting that we've got machines that are able to interpret that intent. Then we also have the computer vision. This is the part of AI that enables them to interpret and make decisions based on visual inputs, such as images and videos. So you can upload your own digital data assets, and it can do so many things with it. It can classify digital data assets, or it can use it for you to build new digital data assets. It can classify or categorize what you have and add to what it has or create something new. So really, when we think about AI, we're thinking about it from a learning perspective, how it can give us outputs in language, and how it can give us outputs in visuals. So those are really the three great components that we're going to see in terms of the tools we're going to be recommending for you today. So how can AI transform nonprofits? There are three reasons why, if you're not using AI already, you might consider it moving forward. One is enhancing efficiency. So we have already seen how technology continues to advance and it makes our lives so much easier. But we can again take it to the next level with artificial intelligence. It can remove a lot of the mundane tasks you might have done before, like data entry or administrative work, and it can allow you to free up a lot of your time. It also improves data management by organizing and analyzing large volumes of information very quickly and very accurately. It can scan large quantities of data and it can spit out trends for you. It can tell you what patterns it has recognized over time. And this information in the nonprofit world can come in very handy, especially when we're thinking about donor patterns, which we're going to be talking about in a little bit as well. It can drive innovation. It can assist in the development of new programs and services by providing insights from data analysis. It enables us to enhance our delivery services through personalized experiences and, again, predictive analytics. Now, some of the ways that you may or may not have used ChatGPT is you can actually just give it a question, say, hey, can you give me some or brainstorm creative ideas for an after-school program? And it will spit out 10 to 15 ideas. You can then say, give me more, and it'll give you 10 or 15 more. Give me more, and it'll keep doing it. You could say, these are okay, but they're not having the impact I'm looking for. Can you come up with better ideas that specifically will serve elementary students in an underserved urban area? And it will give you more. Say, these are closer to the right track, but not quite what I was looking for yet. Can you make sure it has something to do with music, for example? And it will give you more. And so this is how it can drive innovation, because if you feel like you know you should be going in a certain direction, you just don't know how to get there just yet or what that end product will be, use what you have, give it to AI, and let it help take you the rest of the way. That's just one example. It can also amplify impact. It can enhance your decision-making by providing actionable insights from data. This can help you increase your outreach and your engagement by identifying and targeting potential donors and beneficiaries more effectively. So this is part of what we were talking about. So it can help you amplify your impact, not just with outreach and engagement with potential donors. And some of the ways it can do that is it can create avatars based on your funding priorities or your nonprofit priorities. It can help you write letters. It can help take off a lot of, especially if writing or communications has been an obstacle for you in the past. This takes all of that away. You can have it say, draft social media posts about XYZ. You can have it start to write grant narratives for you. You can use it to write letters. It could be request letters. You can use it to say, draft an impact report using this data. You highlight, copy, paste, give it some data, and it will create an impact report for you. The beautiful thing about what AI is doing is it's taking away so much of the stuff that before could have taken a lot of time from you to work on. No longer is it going to take that much time because it gets the ball rolling. It takes care of those writer blocks. It gives you new ideas that maybe you weren't ever going to come up with. You knew you wanted a certain outcome or you wanted to serve a certain population. Maybe you weren't quite sure how you were going to do that. Well, AI is now going to give you the ideas, the tools, the resources you need to take whatever it is you're trying to do in your nonprofit to the next level. Okay. Ethical considerations are definitely something we need to talk about before getting too much further into the AI conversation. I know this comes up a lot. I work with plenty of nonprofit organizations that say, we do not put any of our proprietary information into AI. We have very strict rules about AI, so we don't quite understand how it works yet, or we're not really sure what they're doing with our information. We don't trust the privacy and the security components of AI, so we don't use it for those reasons. That doesn't mean you can't use it at all, and that doesn't mean there aren't going to be other ways where, again, you can generate ideas from it. You don't have to give it any information. You can just generate new ideas using AI. But let's be mindful of some of these things. Data privacy and security. We want to make sure if you are using AI for your nonprofit organization, that you are compliant with all relevant regulations and best practices in data management. If you're not sure what that looks like, talk to your IT team. If you're like, we don't have an IT team, I'm it, then make sure you understand how you're using AI and how it could potentially compromise if you have client data, if you have donor data. Want to make sure you're doing your due diligence to be safe with the information you've been entrusted with. Now, oftentimes, the different platforms you're going to be using will tell you exactly what their data privacy and security protocols are, especially when it comes to donor management tools, because the company's name is on the line. They're not trying to compromise their brand integrity by falling short in some of these areas. But it would behoove you as the nonprofit leader to read those security compliance measures and understand what you're getting into. That way, if a donor comes to you and asks, hey, my stuff's been compromised, any chance it was your organization, you can be very honest and transparent with them and let them know which platforms you use, how you use them, and what those platforms' security regulations and protocols are. Another one would be bias and fairness, which we have heard a lot about. We know that ChatGPT, first of all, has been trained through October of 2023. So if there is anything that has come out since then, it likely will not be able to give you that data. Now, it does undergo regular updates. We're not 100% sure what those updates include all of the time, though. So, for example, if you wanted to know the outcome of a court case from March of 2024, good chance ChatGPT is not going to be able to give you that answer. ChatGPT could give you and call on legal precedent that occurred anytime before October 2023. We also know that plenty of people have already noted that ChatGPT's responses tend to be they have areas of weakness. There are gaps in what it has been able to produce. There have been allegations that ChatGPT tend to have some certain racial bias in a lot of its responses. There have been racial undertones. There have been responses that did not give credit to the correct population of people. So there is a lot to be mindful of when engaging with AI or ChatGPT. We want you, again, if you're looking up information for research, for example, or you're calling on it for facts, that you fact check everything. So we want you to make sure you are auditing the responses that you are getting. If there's any chance those responses could be biased, prejudice, or discriminatory in any way. So please do know that the onus is going to fall on you if you are using these resources to fact check the resources you're pulling. Now, when you use it to generate ideas, it could still generate biased ideas. So be mindful again that you are very specific in the population you want to serve and how you want to serve them in order to minimize or mitigate the bias as much as possible. As far as transparency and accountability goes, we want to make sure that you are maintaining communication about the use of AI within your organization and holding your organization accountable for outcomes of AI. So again, if you used AI to draft a letter and it had a fact in there that you didn't check and somebody called you out on it and said that fact is not accurate, we want you to be accountable for it and say, we are so sorry, we did not fact check our content. We did pull this from artificial intelligence. We'll do a better job of it next time. As far as maintaining communication about the use of AI within your organization, this is very important because if you are presenting ideas as your own original ideas, but they are not, they are AIs, you need to let people know that. So just like you would cite a source any other time in this world that we've lived in, you want to continue doing so as you use AI to protect yourself. We want people to understand where these ideas were coming from. Now, if you are using it as just a starting point, but you go in there and you greatly revise it, edit it, move things around, you just weren't quite sure maybe the structure a letter should have, for example, that doesn't necessarily have to be cited. It's when the content you're producing is not your original content. It is important to be able to provide that level of information and that depth of how you are using AI within your organization to your stakeholders so everybody is on the same page. All right, so let's talk about some trends to watch. I love this part because We can talk about what AI is and how people have been using it, but what really matters in the nonprofit world is how will people continue to use it moving forward? How can this impact the work that I'm doing today and onward? So first of all, trends to watch, those AI-driven chatbots. We are seeing so many more organizations, nonprofits included, that are using chatbots. And it is because it can greatly increase your communication time. It can help coordinate your volunteers. It can help coordinate staff and board. It can also help your clients or potential clients get some of their questions answered rapidly without having to worry about, are they communicating with you during business hours? So in the parentheses here, I have Dialogflow and Jasper. Those are two platforms you might want to note and look into after this call. We're going to talk a little bit more about the AI-driven chatbots in a couple of slides. Generative AI. This is a game changer. As long as we're talking about accountability and transparency, I want to let you know that a lot of this presentation is a product of generative AI. A lot of the content that you're probably seeing online these days is part of generative AI. Now, generative AI essentially means you can ask it to create something for you or build something or draft an outline. The words you use are training it to work with you and give you the responses you're looking for. This means your commands when you're using ChatGPT are very important. So think about the verbs you are using when you engage with ChatGPT. Do you say brainstorm, draft, create, build, edit, refine, polish? Whatever you are telling it to do, it's going to do that. Did you know you can further give it instructions by telling it how you want it to do it? So for example, draft an email using a conversational tone, or draft a paragraph that is very professional. Or you could say draft a paragraph that is professional yet friendly. Whatever you're asking it to do, you continue to train it, because if it comes back with something and you say, oh, that's not what I was looking for at all, you can say, can you make it sound a little less formal? And it will say, sure, and it tries again. Then you say, that still is using a lot of big words. Can you bring the language down to a second grade reading level? And it will do it again. You can give it as many commands as you want, and it will continue to alter the outcomes. Couple of really cool things here. One, you are engaging with this bot, this AI, this artificial intelligence through ChatGPT in a way that is like you have your one-on-one private tutor. You are working with an assistant or somebody who is able to support you in the work you do beyond what you could have done just using Google before. The other really cool thing about this is whatever you are telling to ChatGPT and how you are training it stays between you and ChatGPT. Your commands do not influence or impact how it engages with other people. So if another person gave it the very same first command that you gave it, it would likely give it the same outcome that it gave you. It's not going to give the new version that you've trained it to after 4 or 5 iterations. It's going to start in the same place with the other person because they do not use the data with one person on another. It is referencing all of the data that it had at its resources that it was trained to do at its core until October 2023. And then you get to work with it and train it some more when it works with you. So it's really interesting how that operates and how it continues to be a really great resource for nonprofit leaders. I also have in here Grammarly Go. If you have used Grammarly, you know how incredible it is. It not only catches your spelling and your grammar errors, it catches your tone. It lets you know if you're being too wordy in certain areas. It lets you know that there might be confusion in understanding. It catches all of the things that a regular spell check would leave unnoticed. All right, the third trend to watch is predictive analytics. Again, this is where we talk about donors. It can forecast the needs of your communities. It can also refine donor communications. Donor search and momentum are the two tools here we'd recommend that you look into. And what they're going to do is some really powerful analytics in which they observe your whole database. So let's say you have a donor database and it's got 685 donors in there. And in that donor database, it logs every time they've given a gift, how much that gift has been, how often they give. Do they give only on holidays? Are they giving a monthly gift, or is it a one-time gift? Or is it random as it seems? We're looking at all of the different information and data we have. Based on that information, it will give you predictive analytics. It will say, hey, we think it's time for you to reach out to this person based on the last time they gave. It's time for you to increase your ask with this person based on their pattern of giving. So it will give you the information you need to take your donor solicitations to the next level. It's pretty incredible how it does that, because it seems like you would need to have a very smart person in your development role to be able to pull some of that information, if they could ever pull that information together. And now we have tools at our fingertips that can do it at the click of a button. They just need access to our donor management software. So if it's embedded in the donor management software as part of the perks, then that is something you absolutely should look into, especially if you haven't established your donor management software yet, or if you're looking to make a switch. Look for one that comes with the predictive analytics built in, so that you don't have to do any extra legwork besides click the analytics button, and then you can go and see what it has prepared for you. We also know that nonprofits must continue to learn and adapt to new AI technologies. If you embrace AI as a strategic partner, it will help you remain relevant and effective in achieving your mission. So what we don't want to see is nonprofits become apprehensive to adopting new opportunities to work with AI. It can become sometimes overwhelming, or, people have their a hesitation around learning something new, or technology can be scary, or it moves too fast, or you don't trust it. I totally understand how all of that can feel. What we have to do, though, is just take a deep breath and realize it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. So the more reluctant you are to use it, or the more apprehensive you are to use it, then the harder you're making it for you and your team and your nonprofit to succeed, because everybody around you will be using it, and they will be growing exponentially while you're kind of still in the dark ages. So although it can be scary, and although it can be frustrating, or maybe you're hearing terms you've never heard before and you're like, I can't even speak the same language, let alone apply it. Let me assure you that you can. It starts with baby steps. I also want to remind people that we have seen literacy evolve over time. So in its very earliest form, literacy meant, can you read a book? Can you read? Can you write? Can you spell? If you can do that, then you're considered literate. It then included a new step. Can you use a calculator? And people are like, well, yeah, I can use a calculator for maybe just basic. I can use it to add and subtract. Okay, well, can you use it if you have a longer equation that includes multiplication, division, and addition? Well, I don't know how to use a calculator for that. I know how to do each thing step by step. Okay, so maybe you're starting to lose a little bit of your mathematical literacy. As time evolved and went on, now we have a level of tech literacy. How tech savvy are you when it comes to using social media, to sending email, to accessing Google Drive or SharePoint? And then you start to tack on all of these new elements and levels of ways you can become tech savvy, from cloud software platforms to downloading different types of programs and being able to use those, uploading new creations to the internet. Talk about the difference in hardware and software. And when we start to think about how all of this can impact our lives, at first it's always scary. But when you learn to text, and now you text all the time, or when you first learned to send an email and now you can email all the time, same thing's going to happen with AI. It might feel really scary and fresh and confusing right now, but once you start using it, it's going to be like, oh, I can't imagine ever not using ChatGPT. Where has this been my whole life? And so do take that leap of faith and start to play around with some of the suggested platforms we have for you. So this is a part I'm very excited to share with you. We've identified top 12 AI tools for nonprofits. So we've got 2 pages with 6 tools on each one. We're just going to go through each of these. We've included the tool's name, a brief description, some key features, the use case scenario. How would you apply this to your nonprofit and how much does it cost? We've got some things on here free, some things on here with a monthly or annual fee. A lot of things are very low cost, but there is a cost associated with it. So let's jump right in. OpenAI's Chat GPT. And then I put on here bonus, Gemini. That's Google's version, same thing. Google has it embedded. So oftentimes now when you do a search on Google, the first thing you're going to see it pop up with is a colored box. Usually it's pink or peach or yellow or orange. And it's going to try to give you an answer to the thing that you typed in the Google search bar, but you can keep scrolling and go to the websites for answers like we used to do in the olden days. And now what we do in the current days is we use ChatGPT to get these answers like that. You'll also notice when you type something in Google, you get hundreds of pages of website recommendations. To filter through all of those to find the answer to the question you typed in could sometimes take forever. Now you just simply type a question into ChatGPT or Gemini and it spits out an answer like that. You don't have to go digging. So the quick descriptions are listed here, key features. Now, how do you use it? You can automate your frequently asked questions, type or copy and paste a bunch of stuff in and say, turn these into FAQs. You can generate social media content. You can generate one-pagers. You can generate website content. You can use it for so many things. Now, for ChatGPT, it is free to use. Now, if you want to upgrade for $20 a month, you can get ChatGPT Plus, which I understand includes faster response times and access to more information and just a few other things. But to be honest, I've stuck with the free tier on this and it has worked splendidly. So I have no complaints, have not seen a reason to have to upgrade yet. And so if you haven't engaged in it, that is your baby step or stepping stone into utilizing AI. That should be your first priority is you open up ChatGPT and just start to engage with it. Once you get comfortable with that, I think it will make utilizing the rest of these tools a little bit more digestible. Okay, so Buffer. Buffer is an interesting one because it is not the only one of its kind. This is a social media management platform that can help you scale your social media presence by generating ideas or copy, repurposing your content across platforms. It can also schedule your social media for you based on best predicted times. It does start at $32 a month, which is very reasonable. However, other ones I would suggest that do the same thing, Social Pilot. That's the one that I use. I absolutely love it, and it does all of this. Hootsuite is another one. Hootsuite is a little bit more expensive though, but if you are a larger nonprofit, you want to post more regularly, or you have multiple channels or multiple companies that you are associated with, then I would encourage you to look into Hootsuite. But my favorite is Social Pilot. The next one is Google Dialogflow. I'm so excited about this one. This allows you to create your own chatbot. And you're like, I thought I would have to hire a programmer to do something like that. And you absolutely don't have to. You give it the content that you want it to pull from, and it will turn it into a chatbot for you so that on your website, somebody can go in and say, hi, do you help people who live in this county? Or I'm having a hard time with this. What are the services you might offer? Can I come by? What's your office address? Whatever you want it, and however you've used chatbots before, you can now have your very own nonprofit chatbot for your organization. And look how inexpensive it is. It is less than a penny per text. And so you, depending on how often it gets used, is going to depend on how much it costs for your organization to implement this. But can you imagine how this could streamline communications for your clients and how this could really help your organization stand out if you have any sense of competition in the area that you're in for the services that you offer? If you have something like this on your website, it could be the thing that takes your organization over the top. So I would encourage you to look into Google Dialogflow and develop your own chatbot. And when you do, send me the link. I can't wait to see it. Now, Canva. I put this on here because I love Canva. This presentation that you're looking at was built in Canva. If you've ever received anything that looked remotely visually appealing, it was built in Canva. This green screen built in Canva. Everything we do is built in Canva. Now you might think, well, that's not AI. Have you seen some of its new features? Canva is incredibly robust. It allows you to do so many things that you probably have never played around with. But one of the newest things it allows you to do is visualize your designs. So, how I gave that example at the very beginning of this presentation of you describing an image you would like, and we use the image of the golfers in front of the Rocky Mountains holding a drink as the sun goes down. You type all of that in, and Canva is going to spit out about 4 different images and says, do you like any of these? Do you want me to edit any of those? You click the one that's closest to what you had in your mind, and you can be more specific. I want it to look like a photograph, or I want it to look like a watercolor painting. I want it to look like a portrait. You give it the information you want and watch it continue to generate new ideas. So this image creation can help you build beautiful one-pagers, more social media, create presentation decks. This is where your imagination can come to life, and it can help with the visual aspects of your organization using AI. Best news is Canva is free for nonprofits. If you did not know, you get a free Canva account. We're talking about the professional account. So everybody has access to free basic Canva. If you want the professional account and you're a nonprofit, you get it for free. If you are not a nonprofit, if you are a consultant like me, we have to pay for it. But guess what, y'all? It is only like around $100 to $120 a year, depending on if you get in under a promotion or not. But incredibly worth every penny. So I would encourage you to explore Canva, whether you get it for free or not. Now, Salesforce Einstein. This is a really great one if you already use Salesforce. Now, if you don't use Salesforce, I don't know if I would necessarily make the switch, because chances are whatever competition you are using, if you have a CRM, then they probably have their own version of this. But I just wanted to put it on the list, because if you do have Salesforce and you're not aware of Salesforce Einstein, this can be a total game changer for you. It's an added AI layer that helps again with those analytics and predictions. It's going to automate data discovery for you and give you insights that you can use to predict donor behaviors and automate campaigns and gain new insights. So if you have Salesforce CRM, which starts at $25 a user per month, this is already included. If you want additional features, there are additional costs. Now, Amazon Comprehend. This, I would say, is going to be closely related to Grammarly, but is definitely not the same thing. So basically what this is doing is it is analyzing whatever content you upload into it for the sentiment or the feel or the voice or the tone. It's looking for key phrases to come out. It's going to analyze it, give you feedback on your writing or your content. It can also detect trends. It can also look for patterns and pull out key information. So if you want it to go through massive text, then you can have it go through massive text and pull out the most important information for you. So this is something really interesting that I would recommend you give it a shot if it feels like you have an organization that deals with large quantities of text. Maybe, for example, I know one of my clients looks at legal briefings regularly. This could be a really great tool for you to help streamline and optimize some of those review processes. Next up, we have Clarify. Clarify is another AI platform for visual recognition. This is best used for managing your media libraries, automating tagging, ensuring content compliance. This is all about the visuals, image, video recognition, building custom models, automating that tagging for you. There is a free tier. If you need to move up, you'd go to $30 a month for a community plan. So if you are an organization that's dealing with crazy amounts of visual content, then this again could help streamline or optimize how you're using that content and how you are sharing that content. Rasa is open source for chatbots again. So we had already talked about Dialogflow through Google. Well, Rasa would be another version of this. And so if you are looking into starting one, I'd encourage you to explore both and see which one feels like it's a little bit more user-friendly for you. This one is free for open source, where Google Dialogflow did charge 0.001 for every text that it receives. This one is free all around, but as you can imagine, it's not built by Google, so it's probably going to miss a few of the features that Google got, but would it be worth the cost saving? So something for you to look into. Now, Donor Search AI, you might remember this was on our trends page as well. So I wanted to make sure we captured it here. This is looking for the donor insights and behavior analysis that we had previously talked about, where we are identifying those strategies to reach out to high potential donors, improve our retention with donors, increase their engagement, or increase our asks. It does all of this through predictive modeling, wealth screening, and engagement scoring. It's incredible. Again, this is not the only software right now on the market that offers it, but this is the one right now that does have the highest ratings, which is why it made it on our list. If you are working with another one, tell me how you feel about it. I would love to know if you feel like something out there is working better for you than Donor Search AI might. Now, Reclaim or Clockwise or Motion, I included all three here. They are AI scheduling assistants. So they schedule meetings with donors, volunteers, partners. They work on automated scheduling, calendar integration. They're doing all of this. So you might say, well, what about Calendly? I already have Calendly. I have Calendly. I love Calendly. Calendly is getting to where it's doing more and more of this. My favorite parts of Calendly are the integration. I feel like the pricing is very fair and it does a lot for me. Now, Reclaim, Clockwise, and Motion would probably be better if you have a larger team, because you'll be able to build more team functionality into Reclaim, Clockwise, and Motion. The next one is Fundraise Up. This is a fun one for nonprofit organizations because it allows you to optimize your online fundraising. It does. So if you go to their website, it gives you some really great examples of what this can look like. But basically, AI-driven donation forms, again, with the predictive analytics and real-time insights, optimizing the donations and personalizing experiences for your donors, therefore boosting outcomes. There is a charge for it, and you will notice it's a little bit more expensive than most other donation platforms, but it's because it's doing a little bit more for you than other donation platforms. So at almost 5 cents and 30 cents per transaction, or 5% and 30 cents per transaction, that starts to get a little bit more expensive when I feel like a lot of our platforms that we use for donations usually run between 2 and 3.5%. So this is considerably more. But when you think about what it can give you, is the return on investment worth it for your organization? I say it's worth looking into. So that's why it's on this list. You don't have to have it, but please do give it a look and consider it, because it might be what your organization needs to take donations to the next level. Now, finally, HubSpot CRM. Again, if you already have HubSpot, then you're already doing it, because this is what HubSpot does. It does marketing automation. It does sales pipeline work for you. It's going to service automation for you. AI tools for marketing, sales, customer service. It's going to help you draft marketing emails, create posts for social media. It's going to report on campaign performance. It does so much. Now, there is a free version, but then there's also a paid version. The paid version starts at $50 a month. And really, it's going to go up based, or price increases based on how many people are in your CRM and what are all the different features you want it to have, because a lot of features you then have to pay for. Now, the HubSpot CRM is a decent and good CRM. I've used this. I've used Salesforce. I've used many other ones. And I would say that if you feel like you are absolutely a growing organization and you have, let's say, more than 150 people in your pipeline, we're not talking necessarily, could be donors, it could be donors and clients, but if you have a large enough population of people, this is where you want to start getting a CRM. When you start very small, sometimes it can feel like more work than it's worth to put 8 people in a CRM. You do have to start somewhere and you have to start sometime, but make sure it makes sense for you to start with the CRM, especially if you start paying for it. We don't want you to do it too prematurely where you're essentially just throwing money away, or you're not fully utilizing all of the different robust features it comes with. If you're not utilizing the features, but you are paying for it, it's not really the best use of your nonprofit's organization's funds. So we want you to be strategic as to when you bring a CRM into the mix. Those were all 12 of the tools I wanted us to go over today. I want to thank you for your time. I hope you found great value in learning a little bit more about AI and how it can potentially impact your nonprofit organization. We love the work that you are doing. We know that you are making a tremendous difference in your community, and we hope by attending webinars like this, you'll be able to apply what we're talking about and just see the work that you're doing magnify. We want it to be so much more because we know the needs are great and we know the work you are doing is great, and we want to help you meet the needs of your community. So thank you for your time. Reach out to us if you have any questions at all. In the Nonprofit Collaborative Resource Library, if there are any resources you wish were there that weren't, just go to the introduction section at the very top and complete that request form for a new resource, and we will put it in the development queue. We also want to encourage you to make sure you give us your articles that you would like to have published on the site. So we are excited to publish articles with you all so that we can help you establish yourself as an expert in your field and also help populate the resource library with peer created articles so that people know who you are, what you do, and what it is that you do so well. With that, I want to thank you all so much for your time, and I cannot wait to see you on our next webinar with the National Nonprofit Collaborative. Have a great day. Bye.